Hey guys, welcome to episode 7 of Between the Lanes. I'm Ralph.
And I'm Ron.
Today's going to be a little bit of a different episode for us because we got a couple new things we're going to try out. We're going to try taking in call-in listeners live, and we've also got lots of cool products to give away throughout the show. So before we get started, thank you everybody who tuned in last week. And if you haven't done so yet, like our Facebook page, like our YouTube page, and give it a like and a share. So to start things off, we'll just go ahead and get right into the race results. What do you got for us?
Oh, I got a lot. The Retro Summit was at Mark's Model World, Canton, Ohio, last weekend. Can-Am F1. Can-Am class, Eric Shirey was first. Greg Fox was second, and Dave Smirka was third. And Buddy Barros was actually third in the A main, but Dave won the B main and wound up finishing third overall. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And the invitational winner in Can-Am was Ken Cognac. I think he finished like sixth or something overall. I mean, he had a really good run. So it was good to see him run good. And then F1, it was Bud Bardos winning over Eric Shirey and Dave Smirka. They all came from the A main. The invitational winner there was Bob Summers, and Willie Custer TQ'd in both classes. He had some trouble in Can-Am and didn't finish that race and decided not to race F1. So then they had the American Womp Racing Association at Slot Car Raceway in Roanoke Park, California. And all I really know is our guest a couple weeks ago, Paul Goronsky, swept both classes. So, and I don't know, I think that might have been his first time he ever raced a Womp, because I never heard of him racing Womps before. So
Right. Well, with Paul's talent, I'm sure it's
right.
He can drive anything, so
Right. So
not surprising to see him win in a Womp.
Just a real slow 30-second Eurosport car. And then the week before last, and I didn't get this on last week's show, was in Japan at Cheerio Speedway, Tokyo, Japan. Retro Tokyo ran. And stock car, we had Tebu winning with Yuji second, Kacho third. And then Can-Am, it was Kamo winning, Yuji second, and Kacho again third. And then F1 was Kamo, Haruki, and Yuji. So I kind of forgot to get you guys in last week's show, but kind of cool that there's racing going on in Japan as well as England, and which, and speaking of England, they had their 6 hours of Retro Rama last weekend, which.
Yeah, I read a little bit about that. That looked like a pretty cool event.
Yeah, it looked like a really cool little track, 6-lane track, 6-hour race,
Yep.
Quite the bull ring, as we would describe it here. But Team Walmington 1, I believe, was their team name, and that was Steve Kempson, Robert Hollums, John Secchi, and Daniel Kempson, which I believe is Steve's son. Mm-hmm. And then the team of Gulf Oil was second, Steve Taylor, Michael Thompson, Sandy Grant, and Casimir Kiwisk. I think I pronounced his name close.
That sounds like a mouthful.
Yeah. And then Team GT3 was George Kimber, Tony Condon, Tony Mills, and Tony J. So that was held at a track in Clinch, Wiltshire, England last weekend.
Okay.
And then Retro East, stock car, we had Jerry Herbert Jr. winning over Edsel and Adam Chaya, and Edsel was the TQ. And F1, Matt Bruce was the winner over John Weaver and Edsel again, who was also TQ in F1. So, and then you can probably tell me more about the retro racing that goes on down at Cordell, because I know Chris Barnes, I think, swept all 3 classes there. So
yeah, he did. So Chris, not only did Chris come out to race, he also informed everybody that he is cancer free.
Well, and I talked to him the other day, and he said that was kind of incorrect. I mean, he's
okay. All right.
I mean, he's clean right now, which he's not cancer free, meaning that it's still in the system or whatever. But whether it makes a comeback or not, time will tell. But yes, I think he has to go every 6 months for some pretty thorough testing and do that for 3 years, and then after that it's once a year or something. So he's clean.
Still good news, though.
It's great news, yeah. I mean, he's clean right now, but he's not he's not cancer free. So
cool. Well, congrats to Chris on winning those races and
maybe beating cancer.
Yeah, definitely good news to hear that.
It's a big win. So,
all right, and looks like we got a few upcoming races here next weekend.
Yeah, this weekend we got Ohio Retro Series ORS at Tri-State Raceway in Middletown, Ohio, and USCA is at the track in South Bend, Indiana, and the Ohio Challenge Cup Series starts off with their first races of the 2017-2018 series at Haven in Elyria.
Okay.
The following weekend, September 30th, Great Lakes Retros at Real Speed Raceway, and that's the start of their series. And Penn, Ohio kicks off their series at Fast Tracks in Fremont, Ohio, on what I call the Real Bull Ring track, which is a 95-foot American.
The black. Yeah.
I love that track. So.
Yeah, no, I know that the last couple of weeks, it seems like Facebook's been going crazy with everyone posting all their pictures of their cars and, getting ready to go racing. And I saw on one thread last night, it was kind of cool. I believe it was on Eric Shiree's page, where he kind of had a picture of his, his little shop or his room where he works on his cars. And then somehow that morphed into like this big, long thread where everyone just posted pictures of all their rooms, their slot car rooms or their man caves or whatever.
Yep.
And those are always cool to look at. Like when I go through race reports and stuff, part of my favorite report is my favorite part of the reports, if they have them, are like the pit pics, right, where they show everybody's setups and everyone, we're all doing the same thing, but we all use different equipment and we go about doing it different ways, but we're all looking for the same thing in the end. So it's just cool to see how everyone just adds their little bit
different methods, different styles.
Yeah.
He's got a Hootie Allen wrench, he's got a Parma Allen wrench. I mean, I don't pay attention to all that, but I know some people do. So it's really interesting. And that whole thing morphed into, I think it started out with painted bodies, then went into slot rigs and boxes and ugly strippers and all kinds of other stories. So,
yeah. Well, we might have to get you to tell the stripper story one time.
Okay.
All right. So the next piece of news is not something we want to talk about. Unfortunately, most everybody knows, the other day Randy Marshall passed away. Ron, I know you were friends with Randy for, how many?
34 years.
How many?
34.
34 years. Wow. Yeah.
So, but no, he, he went away peacefully on Saturday and, kind of under his terms more or less. And I'm good with that. And I'm happy for him. And
anybody who knows Randy knows that he did everything on his terms.
Yeah.
Too, so.
Yeah, his whole life. And I appreciate, every post and comment everybody made. So tough reading some of them at times, but, it was good. So thanks, everybody.
Yep. So definitely dedicate this show to Randy, Mr. RPM.
The one and only.
Yep. So, I've seen some stuff online about the SCRN Magazine. Have you seen any of that?
Well, yeah.
I haven't seen an issue in hand. You have one. I haven't seen one. But, man, they look really nice.
Well, I actually have 3, and the reason I got these was Pat Skeen, the editor, publisher of the magazine. He had made a post on Facebook a while back asking about history of 132nd Eurosport cars, and he was looking for a certain specific time period at that time, and I sent him some pictures of cars and some of the history of some of the cars that, one was a limousine that Paul Goronsky won with in '94, and there was a couple other cars too, and so anyway, I got a message from Pat last week, or maybe a couple weeks ago, that he had used them in the magazine. He was sending me a copy of the magazine. So last week in the mail, I got a package, and there was 3 magazines in there, and they're 3 of the, I don't know, like I guess, back issues. But no, the magazine is like, I mean, when I started looking through these magazines, and I haven't really read them yet, but I mean, it's a really high quality, a lot of good photos, a lot of good information in his magazines. And I would say if you're a serious, semi-serious, like Eurosport racer, and I'm not giving him a plug here, but I'm just saying if you're serious about it, you should get a subscription to this magazine, and I think you're going to learn from it. And like this one here was from their 30-second Nats over there, but they interviewed kind of one of my heroes, George Kimber, and I did read that. I've read that, and what was interesting, a couple weeks on the show, you asked me about what do you do to prep for a race and stuff, and I'm going to do his interview, and the person that gave the interview asked George the same question: how do you approach a race meeting? And George's first thing was, fail to prepare to fail. And then he just goes down a little list of, like, you look through your chassis for broken joints, or check your braid, check your guide flag, check your bearings, check this, check that. And it basically, I think that's what, all the probably the upper half racers do when they prep for races. I mean, some obviously do it better than others, but at the same time, the guys that are winning consistently, they have their own checklist where there's something they've wrote down, or it's a mental checklist. So, it's really good. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, the magazine's really cool. And I didn't realize how much I miss a magazine after looking at that. It'd be really cool if somebody at some point could ever get a magazine going here in the States again, but I don't know. So,
well, in about how many pages would you say those are, just out of curiosity?
That's a good question, because I don't even know if he's got his pages. They're like, I guess if you count the front cover and back cover, they're 32.
Yeah. Okay, that's good size. Yeah. I remember I got to meet George Kimber a few times. He came over stateside, and he'd race. We had some races down at the Viper Pit, which was in Thomasville, Georgia. It's still there. And he'd come over and run some retro races or whatnot. And he was always a really cool guy.
Well, he actually comes here to golf, not slot car racing.
Well, yeah, I know, but he happens to hit some races though.
Yeah. But he's almost 70 years old, and I mean, he's still at the top over there, and still winning, and still building and thrashing, and pretty awesome. So I see we have a caller.
Yeah, looks like we got I guess Kevin Van Pelt would technically get our first call in.
He was our official first history made call in, but this will be second history here. So.
Okay. Who we got on the line here?
I don't know. Hey, welcome to the show. Who we got?
Willie.
Willie Custer.
Willie Custer?
How you guys doing?
Hey, we're good. How are you?
We're good. How are you? Thanks for calling in.
I'm doing well. No problem. I enjoy the show.
Thanks.
No, we appreciate you tuning in. Ron just gave us a rundown from the Retro Summit race, and he mentioned you had some issues. So,
yeah, some bad luck.
Yeah, knowing you, I'm sure you're already prepared for the next race, though. So,
I'm working on it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your next race?
The Sano.
Okay.
And who are you going out there with?
Jeff Middle and Greg Fox and Ross is supposed to go as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Ross was at the race this weekend. He didn't show up. I don't think he came there to race, but he was hobbling along without crutches. So, but yeah, Ross was there and hung out for a while, and it was good to see him.
Well, you went to the Sano, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago you were there?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Was that your only time going there?
Yeah.
Okay. I know Greg Fox and Ross have both been a couple times. So
yeah, they went 2 years, and I only went once.
Right.
So I'm gonna go back this year, try my hand.
Okay.
His hand. I'm sure you will do well.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm prepared, well, I heard you guys talking about that.
Yeah, we were talking before the show started. We were talking about like lots of some phrases people use, for preparing or whatnot, and one of them came up was the
6 P's.
6 P's. What was it again?
Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance.
There you go. Yeah. I think I said planning instead of preparation, but it comes out the same. Means the same thing in the end.
Same way. Same thing.
Yeah.
Proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah. We had to count out our fingers several times because we were having a debate whether or not it was the 7 P's or the 6 P's.
I think I've heard it.
We didn't know if we like left out a word or not on it,
Yeah, I think I heard one time it's 7 P's, but obviously we're missing one of the words. So
yeah, I must be missing one too.
Hey, 6 works for me because it's the same thing. So,
well,
Yeah.
Willie, while we got you on the line here, pretty much everybody who reads the race report sees your name at some point in it. How long have you been racing for? Because I don't think I know.
I started racing when I was 15, and I'll be 32 this year, so almost 17 years.
Wow. And did you take a break during any of that, or did you race that whole time?
I'd say the longest break I've taken in that time is probably, 5 weeks.
Wow. Okay. And did you start out at, was it Route 93 is where you started racing?
Yep. Frank and Debbie's shop. Yeah, Route 93.
Okay. Cool. Because I know you raced, you were there all the time, and then you were at REM a lot too, right? When REM was open.
Yeah, I didn't really frequent there until there was like a race there, like a Penn Ohio race or BRS race.
Right. So I guess the big question is, are we going to see you at the FNRS race?
At Mark's?
Tri-State.
Tri-State.
At Tri-State? I don't know. I don't have any Flexi stuff.
The week after the Sano.
Yeah, maybe if someone can get me some cars together.
Shiree said he'll take care of you.
I'm sure Shiree or Fox together.
I'm sure we'll find you something if you show up.
Yeah, well, maybe.
All right, cool.
Maybe I need to send a contract over.
That series really seems to be, getting a lot of participation. That's good to see.
Yep.
Yeah, I was talking with one of the local guys at Tri-State the other day, and he said that there's a lot of guys starting to do some weekly racing down there, getting prepared for the race. So that's pretty cool to see. Because I know we got quite a few people coming from the south up there, so it should be another good turnout. I mean, all the other FNRS races were pretty good, so I don't see why this one wouldn't be too. It'll be my first time to Tri-State too, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, I haven't been there at the new location, just the old one. Well, the old 2 locations I've been at. I'm not sure if there was any other before then.
Oh, there's been several. Well, there's since they've had the King track 1, 2, 3. This would be the 4th location. So,
yeah, I've been to 2. So, have you been to the new one, Ron?
yeah, I went down there last month for the Lee Watson race.
Okay.
So,
track's pretty good.
Track is really good. It's probably the best it's ever been. I mean, Girding just redid it. Surface is black now.
How would you guys compare Tri-State to Mark's Model World? For some of us that kind of have maybe been to Mark's but not been to Tri-State.
Well, it's faster than Mark's.
Okay.
It's faster. It seems, seems a bit easier to get a car to go around. Well, at least a retro car anyhow.
Yeah,
Mark's is pretty tough.
Yeah, I think the 2 big differences between Mark's and Tri-State is the dead man in the top turn, with Tri-State having the faster dead man in top turn than Mark's.
Yeah, I agree.
What's the power like at Tri-State?
It's like 14 volts.
So it's a little more than Mark's.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But it's the track's wired really well. I mean, Stuart Coford, he's the one who did the wire, or engineered the wiring, and Girding put it in. So
right.
it's not like some kind of burn up big wiring kind of thing. So
cool. Okay. All right. Well, Willie, man, we appreciate you giving us a call, man. Hope you have a good night. Okay.
You too, guys.
all right. Thanks, Willie. We'll see you later. All right. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
All right, cool. Well, thank you to Willie Custer for calling in. That was pretty cool.
That was awesome.
Okay, so I know we got some stuff to give away. Do you want to tell everyone what we're giving away and how they can qualify next time we have a drawing? Because the name's already in the hat for this one.
Well, yeah, like I said last week, if you've went to the Between the Lanes Facebook page and you've either commented or liked any of the posts there, I put your name in this little bucket I got over here. So that's what gets you in there. So if you haven't liked anything or done anything yet, you're not in there. But if you want to be in for drawings, then you need to go over there and like something. You don't have to make a comment. You just have to like something. So
if their name's in the bucket now and they don't get picked, do they stay in the bucket for next week?
Yes. Okay. They'll stay in the bucket until the next drawing. And whoever wins today is going to be out of the bucket for a while. So
okay, and what do we got to give away today?
Well, John Miller, Pro Slot, one of our guests that we had on, I think, episode 3. When I seen him at the race a week ago, he said he would kick in a couple of FK motors this week. Now, if I draw your name and you don't like an FK motor and you want a 16D, maybe he'll work that out with you. But that's between you and him. When we draw your name, and if you win, you need to contact John and tell him that you won on the show. And I'm also going to message him and tell him who won.
All right.
He will mail whatever to you directly. Me and Ralph are not mailing anything unless we give our stuff away. So
yeah, and I was going to give away a couple bodies this week. So if anybody wins a body, you can have a Warrior or a Renegade and any thickness you want. So I'll be giving away 2 of those this week, and I'll throw in some more stuff to the pot next week too.
And I'll give away a few bodies tonight too. And so.
And if there's any other manufacturers listening or anybody wants to donate anything to give away, contact us and let us know.
Right, because I had some other interest in doing this too, and I just haven't made contact with them. So,
okay.
But they can give us, we'll give stuff away as we get it or whatever.
All right, so we got like 6 things to give away tonight total?
Yep.
Okay. You want to do 2 now?
We'll do 2 now.
All right. All right, well, first, what is this? What are we giving away here?
Let's go ahead and give away a Pro Slot FK motor away.
Okay. All right, cool.
And that winner would be Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. Okay, cool. Congratulations, Jimmy.
Jimmy's from what, North Carolina?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. And he's down there where they run Pro Slot FK, so.
Yeah, so that ought to work out for him.
Okay. And what are we giving away now?
We can do one of my bodies.
All right. Oh, he'll have a body for the race at Tri-State.
There you go. Yeah, our first caller today, Willie Custer. All right, cool.
Okay.
That works out. Awesome.
And then.
So Willie, get a hold of me.
Willie, get a hold of Ralph.
Jimmy, get a hold of John Miller.
This is for. I'm gonna mail 2 bodies to whoever wins this one. So.
Okay.
Brad Freisner.
Okay.
Who's a wing car racer, but he can do what he wants on bodies of choice. So, 2 out of sight bodies. All right. So our first 3 winners. You got Jimmy Johnson, Pro Slot FK motor, Will Custer, RTR body, and Brad Freisner of Canada, National Group 7, and I think he's also a world champion, Group 7 racer. 2 out of sight bodies of his choice.
Awesome. Congratulations to all 3 of those guys. And later on in the show, we'll give away some more stuff. So if you didn't win now, don't worry. And so you guys got to stay tuned in here because you never know when you're going to be called. So
You never know.
All right. Well, we had a couple other things to go over. Anything particular you want to
Well,
next.
Well, okay, because we've talked about on the last couple of shows, we talked about JK products and selling direct to the raceways and cutting off the distributors. And I guess it was last Friday. He made an announcement that his stuff will be back at the distributors, as well as he will still also sell to raceways too. So I guess that current hot topic, touchy subject.
I think he's going to sell. He'll sell the distributors and racers and raceways can buy direct still, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
That's what I believe it is. Yeah.
So JK Products is back in the distributors. I know some people had problems with that and some people didn't, but hey, it is what it is. It's his business, his choices, his decisions, and it's the way it is. So
yeah, because I know he got there was a lot of people commenting on that. Maybe they thought maybe he gave up too soon or whatnot, but
who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved, and I think the main factor is obviously your bottom line financially for your company.
Right.
So it's, even if you really believe in something and want to do something, I mean, you can't go broke doing it.
Right.
So, but on the positive side of that, I know he did post. He posted some stuff, maybe alluding to possibly some kind of a new JK racing league or racing series or something. I don't know any details about it, but I suppose he's going to post that soon. So we'll stay tuned and see what his next adventure is.
And we'll report. Yeah, we'll report as we know, or some people probably know before it's on the show. But
yeah,
we'll still let you know about it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I guess while we're talking about racing leagues and stuff, and the Flexi National Race Series, basically it's 5 races around the country for 2017. So, we've had 3 races. We're getting ready to have the 4th race in Ohio here in a few weeks, and then the final race of that series will be November 4th down at Fast Eddie's in what is it, Pinellas Park, Florida?
Right.
Okay, and Tampa area. So, we get people asking about how do I get a national race, or there's really no, and I guess we'll be making a statement on this, but these first 5 races, we went to areas where we knew they had flexi car racing going on in a decent number, and would pull from an area close to have local racers. So when the travelers go there, we have a decent field of 20 to 30 plus cars. So
because when you hold a big race, it's just not all about how many people can you get to travel.
Right.
You have to have local turnout to make it as big.
Right. And we've got a couple of raceways that are already holding their own little series or running the rules, and they're building them. And it's been suggested to them get with the track 2 hours away or an hour away, and maybe start a series and get a regionals type series going, build that up, and that could lead to a national race. It's in that area at some point. So, yeah,
I mean, at this point, the response has basically been overwhelming because we get messages weekly. XYZ Raceway in Nebraska or Connecticut or whatever, they all want to hold a race.
Right.
And it's not that we don't want to have a race. It's that we can only have a handful of national races a year. And there's way more tracks that want to race than we have dates. It's not that we don't want to have a race at your place. So don't take it that way,
Right, and then some, and some raceways too. Some raceways are restricted by how large they are. I mean, of course, everybody wants a big race. Who doesn't want a big race? But if you can't hold 30 people in your building, then a big race isn't going to work, because where are you going to put everybody? So
or if you don't even race those cars locally or weekly.
And you got to that's the first thing. You got to be racing the rules, and you got to build up a local following once again. So.
the rules are online for any raceways that are interested. Anybody who's looking to start a series, any series that are maybe thinking about switching or anything like that. You know, the rules are there, and we welcome everybody to look at them, use them, adopt them. You know, you don't have to have our special permission to use them or anything. You know, feel free to start to use it to help start something locally. Maybe kickstart a weekly program or something. You know.
Yeah, because like an example is, I mean, we went down to Durham to Hobie Max and Hobby Max. Oh, it just looks like Hobie Max to me, but anyway, Hobby Max, and you know, we had our race there in August, and since then, the TSRA, which was kind of the local host series for that area, they have now switched to NFNRS rules for their upcoming series, with a few local option changes or whatever. That's fine, but you know, when we go back there for a national race at some point, then they'll have to run the full FNRS rules, but they are getting more interest in those rules and everything for the return. So, and you know, we've had a race at Mark's Model World in June, and now we're going down to Tri-State in 4 weeks. And this winter in the Midwest, we're going to have a series of 4 races with the Illinois State Championship, the Indiana State Championship, the Ohio State Championship, and the Michigan State Championship. And all 4 of those races will use FNRS rules. And
cool.
But up here in this area too, I mean, you've got the Midwest Slot Car Series, which now has adopted those rules for their GTP class. And the Great Lakes Retro Series has adopted the GTP and the LMP rules. So, you know, and you know, like the USCA guys, I mean, they bring their car to our race, it would be legal because they're already running the motor with the spec pinion. They run higher clearance, but they can lower it for our race, and they can raise the back of their body up. But other than that, that's the only differences between the rules, basically. So we have a lot of cars up in this area, so it should help build, and we're building this area larger too. So
right, yeah.
But having 2 bigger races in the area, I don't know if that's helping it as much as, because I think we already had the interest here. So we're bringing the race here, and now people will go to those races. So, yep.
All right. So, you know, so whether it's our rules or anybody's rules, I mean, you know, tracks got to have weekly racing.
Right.
You know, you can't just have a big race here or there. You know.
Right. Yeah, like I said, everybody wants a big race.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of had a question for you since you're Mr. Slot Car History.
Okay.
Okay. So, you know, a lot of people have kind of brought up like the history of the Flexi Car, right?
Right.
So we'll do a show on that, right?
Yep.
But just give me like a little bit, like, I don't know, maybe a teaser or something. Start us out because basically start out with a Flexi 1, right?
Okay.
Is that kind of where we started?
That's where we started.
Okay. So,
yeah, I don't know where to start, so I'm just going to start with where I was at that time. You know, like, Flexi Car came out, I'm going to have to look this up to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it was late 1985. And I think it had been mentioned in the summer of 85 that it was coming, but there was just some production delays and things like that. So I think, if I remember right, it got out pretty late in 85. And prior to that, you know, basically when it came to Parma and all the other guys that made ready-to-run cars, you went from a $10 or $12 womp womp to a $25 to $35 Group 12 or Group 15 or Group 20 car that was a soldered together brass chassis.
All right, so I got to stop you here, okay?
Okay.
How in the hell did we come up with the name Womp Womp and Flexi Car? Like, where do the names come from?
Okay.
I get the
that's a whole nother story. Okay, so Womp Womp, the Womp Womp came from, and this is what Ken McDowell told me, everybody remembers cartoons, the magazine cartoons. You remember those, Ralph?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't know if they still publish those. I don't know if they're still in publication or they went out or what. But anyway, I mean, if you were a hot rodder or gearhead or something in the 70s and 80s, you bought a cartoons magazine at some point. It was just a comic book, I don't know what else to say about it. It was just like this cartoon book. But anyway, and it was black and white. Maybe there was some color, but in one of those early 70s cartoons, there was like a car, like maybe sitting on a line at a drag strip. Okay, and you got the headers coming out the side of it, flames coming out, and in big words, womp, womp, like the guy's going, womp, womp. Okay, so that is where womp, womp came from. Okay, like,
wow. Okay.
So then I guess when, I believe it was Champion then came out with the Thumper. Or maybe the Thumper was first and the Womp Womp was to Womp Womp the Thumper or something. Or maybe the Thumper was I don't know. But I have to go back and look that up too. But yeah, there was a little battle there in the 132nd, one-piece stamp steel ready to run market. So anyway, so back to
So how do we get the Flexi Kar name though? How did we get that?
Okay, that's part of the story. So,
all right,
or part of the history. So, of course, the Womp Womp was a 132nd car, one-piece stamped steel. But then you also had the Parma Whisperjet, which was a one-piece 124 stamped steel car that was basically a rental car because it has a big 36D motor in it with a belt, 2 pulleys and a belt, no gears. Car. But that was like a stamped formed 124th ready to run car. And then, like I said, then you went into the stuff that was built, lady sat down and was soldering piano wire and brass together. I mean, a stamp, when you're stamping cars, you go ka-chunk, 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 and you got a car. Where, how long does it take you to solder? I mean, 5-10 minutes to solder everything together when you have a jig. I mean, tremendous difference in the output at the end of the day. So the story was Ken went like on a trip to Europe. He visited a 132nd club in Italy, and that club had their own 2-piece stamp. And when we do this show, I'll show the chassis. But it was a 2-piece brass chassis stamped and formed, a bat pan and a center section. And the 2 pieces went together. And
all right, I got a time out here. You say bat pan, but I don't think a lot of people know it. You mean when you say bat pan? That's just like the pan. Just
the pan, yeah, bat pans, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. So how did you get the term bat pan? Like
I don't know where that ever came from.
Okay.
I don't know where that.
Not calling you old, but the only people I ever hear say bat pan are like people.
Well, and because back going to the 60s and early 70s when they would package parts, they would say like bat pans. I mean, technically they were pans, and I don't know if they were called them bat pans because they look like a pair of bat wings or something. You know what I mean? Like,
okay,
they're identical and they're wings, so we'll call them bat wings. I don't know. So I don't know where that term came from. It's like drop arm, nose piece. Same thing, but anyway, or guide tongue holder, so anyway. So Ken gets this chassis, and the club used it there kind of exclusively. I don't even know if you could buy these chassis anywhere else at the time. Ken got a chassis, brought it back, set it down on Bud Bardos's desk, and said, "I want this in 124 scale, but I don't want a copy of it." And when you see the 2 cars, they're not even there's no similarities in either car. I mean, it wasn't take this idea and make it bigger in 124 scale. That way, we can assemble cars super quick. You put the pan on, put the axle through the front uprights, which holds the pan. So where the Flexi came from, Ken wanted to patent this car. In order to patent something, you have to have a unique or different design. So they came up with the term Flexi hinge. And the Flexi hinge was the front axle going through the uprights of the pan and the uprights of the center section. held together with a keeper. That became the Flexi hinge. And that's what the patent was all drawn around, was the fact that that axle held that car together. No other chassis car had ever been held together that way. And then that led to Flexi Car, because you didn't want to call it like the Flexi hinge car. We'll just call it the Flexi Car.
Right.
So that's more or less how the whole Flexi thing came about. And then, over time, Flexi, and another thing was the unique spelling of Flexi, F-E-L-X-I,
right,
K-A-R, Flexi Car, which even made it more unique to be able to get that patent and stuff. I'm not 100% sure that Flexi Car was a registered trademark. It could have been, but I'm not 100% sure. But again, it could have been because it was very unique. So, but over the years, the term Flexi became so generic, and then you could just change, instead of F-L-E-X-I, you could change it to F-L-E-X-Y, and Flexi Car.
Right.
And you weren't, if there was a copyright, there was no infringement, because it's, So anyway, when people would refer to other types of chassis as a Flexi Car, he didn't like that, because we make the Flexi Car, that's not a Flexi Car. So then it became Group 10.
Right. Okay.
Probably in about 1990, 91, 92.
So that's also how Bud Bartos got his nickname, the father of the Flexi Car.
Well, yeah, I always call him father of the Flexi Car. So, and Bud, if you're listening, you have to come on the show. I talked to you this weekend. You said no. So anybody watching this week, or anybody listening, put in the comments, we want Bud Bartos on the show.
That's right. There you go.
I can pressure him into coming on here, but. So yeah, Bud has a ton of history too. So
yeah, and we're going to do a show on that soon. I know, because you got a whole lot of other stuff. So
and what a lot of other people may not know about the Flexi Car was at one time, for a very short period, Parma made a separate pan that was made of brass, and you could buy it as a optional pan and put it on your Flexi Car chassis, and it would weigh a little more. I don't think they were on the market 6 months and they were gone. But when I started at Parma, back in the stash of old parts and stuff, I found a brass pan. And then I remember one time I was at a raceway, and they had, it was probably 10 years after that, they had one brass Parma pan hanging on the wall.
Right.
And I bought it. I got it somewhere in my collection. And another thing in the Parma stash too was, you got to remember, this is 1985. I found some aluminum pans that had been stamped for the Flexi Car. So clear back to 1985, they thought, well, maybe there was 3 options, but they never released aluminum pans for the Flexi Cars way back when. And but yeah, they were thinking ahead, but the tracks back then were just so different that those cars would have been too light. So,
just another random question: what are some of the coolest things you have in your collection that nobody knows? Nobody may know about. Anything like ultra, like rare or unique, or maybe something that was prototype that was never made.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Back on the Flexi thing. Okay, so, again, this all come out in a show, and I have to put everything in chronological order. But there was a company called Eurotoy that was started and funded by J.P. Van Rossum. And ProSlot was involved. Well, I should say Dan DeBella / ProSlot and Jan Limpak were involved in the very early beginnings of Eurotoy. And J.P. wanted Jan and Dan to develop basically a 124 Flexi Car. So, as the story goes, Jan made a prototype and Dan made a prototype. Jan's worked better, so that was the car, this is the car we need to give or sell or whatever to JP. Limpak wanted way more money than Dan thought he should charge him. And somehow they wound up using Dan's deal, and Limpack was kind of out of the deal. So
okay,
this was all documented back in some old Euro slot magazines and stuff that I have, and there's some ugliness to the story along, depending on who you talk to, but
right.
Limpack's car was called the Big Brother, or maybe it was Little Brother, and I think there was only 100 or 150 pieces of those made, and I have one of those. Those are very
cool.
Again, we'll show that at some point too.
Show that, yeah.
Very rare and hard to find chassis.
Right.
And then there was the Euro toy car, which everyone has seen had the front bumper on it, and so that became the Euro toy car. And Euro toy was kind of somewhat of a success, but it eventually went away. And then, then Champion and Trinity and JK and, Race Pace made a car. A lot of people don't know that Race Pace one time made a Flexi chassis, but that's super rare. I've got some of that, but I've got some. I got like some prototype Pro Slot Hex Group 27 motors. I've got some prototype armature blanks and armatures, and there's some cans and magnets. I mean, someday I'll have to gather up a little bit, and we can show them on the show or something. But
yeah, that'd be cool to do like a show and tell episode. That'd be neat.
Yeah. Or how something started and became this instead. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, I got lots of bits and pieces, and I just sit here and just start saying, oh yeah, I don't have a list.
Right.
Sometimes I go through the bins back there and I find stuff that I forgot I had. It's like, wow, I forgot I had this, but there's a story there too. So
yeah, one of my favorite things, just speaking of the Parma Flexi car, is I'm a huge Days of Thunder fan. So I got all new in the box.
Yep.
The Days of Thunder cars. So
yep. I have a set of those, and I have quite a few of the 30th anniversary cars with the Porsche 917 body, and I guess so when another kind of a neat thing, but not rare, but I guess rare to me. But when I worked when I was at Parma, they would offer employees the chance to buy those cars, the anniversary cars. So when I had started at Parma, they just were getting ready to release the 32nd Porsche car in like 1990. So I bought the last three. I think 3,000 were made or something. Or maybe there's 2,500. I don't remember, but I got the last three made.
And they're not serial numbered.
But I take it back. They were serial numbered. I have the last two because at that time there was just my son Michael and me. So I thought, well, I'll get the last two, one for him, one for me. And then when they came out with the 30th anniversary car, I had my second son. So I got 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 serial cars.
That's cool.
So, yeah, because like the first 10, Ken of course got 0001, but then
right.
The next ones went to distributors and things like that. Very special VIPs.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Cool.
So,
all right. You want to give away a couple more things real quick?
We can do that.
Okay.
So, okay, this is an RTR body.
Sure, that works.
Okay.
And it is?
It's Dottie Martyr. Now, I don't know, maybe her and her husband have a joint account or something, but that Dottie Martyr liked the something over there.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'm sure.
Send me a message. Send me an email.
I don't know why she would be liking things on our
And this one will be the second Pro Slot FK?
Yeah, if you say so.
Okay.
Okay, Pro Slot FK. Going to go to Jim Lang out in California.
Cool. Awesome.
So let me mark him down. And then another couple out-of-sight bodies. We'll go to Duran Trujillo.
Okay.
Out in California. Right. So
congrats to everybody who won something. And again, if you want to give away something, let us know. And if you want a prize, you have to contact the manufacturer who makes the prize you bought, and they will send it to you.
That's correct.
Okay.
But I will contact ProSlot and let him know the two names, and you contact him with your address and stuff, and he'll get them in the mail to you.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. All right. You got anything else you want to go over?
Oh, you're Mr. Questions. We talked to magazines, FNRS, and stuff like that. I mean, like Willie said earlier, the Sano race is coming up here in, 3 weeks, I guess. It's first weekend of October. That's also the first weekend of ISRA over in Italy.
Yeah, I forgot that's coming up real quick too.
So two bigger races. One is the biggest scale race of the year, and then the Sano is one of the bigger retro races of the year. So those are both coming up, and hopefully Mike Swiss might come on the show next week. I'll get Ralph work on him and a contract.
We're working on it.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have him come on and talk about his race and talk some history about the race. And we've all three been there, and Mike has very interesting history too, as far as his racing career. And not only was Mike a serious Group 7 racer, world champion and national champion, but he worked at Coford and for a long time, and he worked at a distributor at one time before Coford. So
race my owner. All kinds of stuff on the resume.
Mike's actually been doing it longer than I have. Quite a bit longer than I have. Because I know he started racing either late 69 or something, or the very early 70s. He started racing.
Okay.
And I don't know if he stopped at certain. Since I started racing in '81, Mike Swiss was racing like International 15 wing cars, and he worked his way up from '81 until he retired in 2006 or 7, I think, from wing car racing. So
yeah,
and then he went into the retro thing. So he's been the retro thing from day one too. So
right.
The first Sano race was kind of was supposed to be a West versus the East and the Midwest, California D3, and the kind of like the retro East group. And there was no IRA prior to that race, and then after that race, there was the IRA.
That's where the IRA was founded, in the parking lot.
Yeah, right on the parking lot. So yeah, that's where it was founded, and it went from there. So, and this is going to be the 11th Sano, so lots of good stories to tell.
Okay, cool. All right, well, guys, that's looks like that's going to be a wrap to episode 7. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. Next week, we're going to try to give away some more stuff.
Yep.
I'm going to let you guys call in again, and we'll have some new topics to talk about.
And hopefully we have a special guest.
Yeah.
So, and then I think next week we might have some more how-to videos too.
Yes.
Are you working on that?
I am. Yes, I am.
I got some.
Especially now that you put me on the spot, yeah.
Well, I got something to work on too, and that was kind of going to be the project here the next day or two, because prepping to go to a race this weekend. So, and I'm.
Yeah, I know. With racing season.
Well, I got to build some things, so I thought, well, while I'm building, I might as well videotape it, and.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's
all right.
Next week.
So, what do we got for a secret word of the show?
Secret word came from a suggestion from Rob Garland, and in honor of Randy Marshall, the secret word will be RPM. So I don't know if that's a word, but RPM.
Well, and for most those who don't know, RPM was actually his initials too, correct?
Yeah, Randy P. Marshall. So
yeah,
RPM
race cars.
I don't know what his parents were thinking, but hey.
Well, it fit him perfect, though. Yeah,
because he was redlined most of the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to close out with one of my favorite Randy-isms of all time. Whatever.
Whatever. That was it.